Good Fat Tuesday, Midwest Star Wars Fanatics. How's it going today? We are here tonight with my co-host again, Travis, and we kind of figured out what we were going to talk about this week. Luckily, we got a new series coming up with Obi-Wan. But first, before we get into that, though, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Just about forgot. Sorry about that. TRG Toys and Collectibles. Make sure you head over to trgtoys.com. Check out some of their great collectibles from Star Wars to Marvel. He has it all over there. So our last show, we had a couple special guests on here. Joe Caroni and Brian Miller talked about Celebration and talked about the Book of Boba Fett. And since the Book of Boba Fett's done, it's time to kind of move on to the next thing. Now, Travis, we kind of, there's some rumors out there that the Bad Batch was going to be the next, which it still could be. There's rumors about that dropping in April. But we're going to skip that right now and go to what we do know that's coming out on May the 25th, and that is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Now, I know a lot of people are excited about this series, and for you that are watching and listening along to us, if you are excited about it, let us know in the comments. If you have any questions or input, we would love to hear it. But we're going to go right into talking about this series that we have really no idea about. They have done a great job kind of keeping this pretty quiet, which has been, Disney has been really doing well on that. But I mean, are you getting more excited about this series now, Travis, that it's, now that we have a release date and we know that it's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think originally when it first was announced, I think you and I were sort of on the same page with it'll probably be good. Ewan McGregor's back. He does a great job as Obi-Wan. But we've kind of been Obi-Wan to death between, the prequels, the whole Clone Wars, Rebels. I mean, there's lots of Obi-Wan content out there. I think, though, this is good as far as like the timing goes, because I think we had a pretty good series and a lot of people complained about it, but I really enjoyed it. The Book of Boba Fett. Now we've got a few months off. We'll be into Obi-Wan. We'll have a couple months off potentially to Andor. So I do kind of like this cadence of we don't have to wait too long in between stuff. I think it kind of keeps the overall sort of Star Wars excitement and keeps us anxious and excited for what's coming next.
Well, and also the timing of it. I mean, the same week of Star Wars Celebration, which is pretty awesome. So obviously the first day of Celebration is going to be rocking with Obi-Wan. It'll be exciting to see what panels and stuff. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll show us the second episode or something while we're there. It is good to know that we have something else right around the corner. And obviously we might even have the Bad Batch rolling along right beside it. So, but there's so much. This is obviously, like you said, we know a lot about Obi-Wan already, and it's what makes this series kind of interesting. Is we're going into a direction to where we're kind of in some uncharted territory of Obi-Wan. Where he's watching over Luke, and still trying to maintain, his, being quiet, low key. I mean, we already know how hard it is to try to find him. I mean, obviously, Darth Maul had to use Ezra to help locate him and all that. So, I mean, what do you think? And for you out there as well, what do you think this is going to start off with for us? I mean, I'm excited, but I'm also a little worried.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to focus on. I mean, there's definitely some existing sort of canon content from the comics that they can draw into. I think we talked about it in a previous episode when Black Chrysanthemum, for example, showed up. When I did some research on him, because I wasn't that familiar with the character from the comics, realized that one of his big moments in the comic series was actually going after Uncle Owen and getting in a fight with Obi-Wan, which left the scar on his face. Knowing what they've done in the past with, showing characters for reasons and introducing him in the Book of Boba Fett, it's not going to surprise me at all if they don't touch on that particular story somehow. It's a way to also, I think, connect it to, Jabba, who was involved, potentially maybe a reference in passing, or even maybe we see a younger Boba Fett pre A New Hope time. So yeah, I think there's definitely some threads they can pull on that they've introduced in other series like the Book of Boba Fett Because other than that, I mean, like you said, there's kind of some openness that they can explore and not have to be too constrained. But obviously, we know he's watching over Luke. He doesn't leave Tatooine. He's trying to stay low key. That's about the main things they have to make sure they stick to.
So we got the official movie poster that was released when they announced the date, and obviously we have Obi-Wan carrying his lightsaber in the desert all alone. And like you said, I mean, it's hard to tell which way they'll go with this, but I feel that we're going to get more of time off of Tatooine than I think we will be on Tatooine. I just have a strange feeling that we're going to be kind of leaving there, not unlike the Book of Boba Fett, where we stayed on Tatooine for all 7 episodes. There's just so much that we don't know in this time frame. Because I mean, really, the only thing we have is in Star Wars Rebels when you have, when Ezra did find Obi-Wan and he's looking over Luke, and you hear, them yelling, or Aunt Peru yelling for Luke to come in, and he comes running, and that's really the only kind of story we have from there. So from that point, there's a lot that we can go there. Now we already know, it's already been told that we're going to have an epic showdown between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. So Anakin and Obi-Wan are going to meet again. But do you think, and everybody out there as well, and actually look at this comment this came through, because this is actually what I was getting ready to kind of talk about with some flashbacks here. I mean, do you think that we're going to see more of Vader, or are we going to see more of kind of a flashback thing with Anakin?
I mean, that's a good question. I would have said originally more Vader, more current time frame, but seeing what some of the things they dipped into with the Book of Boba Fett, which definitely was very heavy on the flashbacks. I think there'll be, whether it's a true flashback or it's like Obi-Wan, nightmare sort of dream, like haunted by his inability to keep Anakin on the light side of the Force and things like that, to kind of help develop him and sort of his internal struggles and turmoil that he's dealing with. They might show, because I mean, really, if you think like flashbacks, I mean, there's an entire prequel series, there's an entire Clone Wars animated series that's essentially all the flashbacks and stuff. So they don't need to necessarily flashback like Boba Fett style to tell stuff and fill in gaps. I think it would be more almost like the scenes they showed in the Book of Boba Fett with young Boba, Daniel Logan and stuff, like picking up the helmet and looking out of the window, kind of those kind of smaller flashbacks, but are actually just reused footage from like the clone Attack of the Clones or Return of the Sith kind of.
And we got a few comments here. First of all, I want to say, Glenn Gary, Justin Lee, thanks for watching. Cody Moore, thanks for commenting as well. Justin Lee has a couple comments here. Justin, I'm going to get into this one with you here in a little bit. He mentions Qui-Gon. And obviously, we'll see. We'll go over that one in a minute with Qui-Gon. But Ahsoka could also watch over Luke if Kenobi leaves the planet. Vader flashback should also be in the temple. So, I mean, there's some good opportunities and theories too. So we obviously know that Ahsoka's still out there. We know that we're right after Order 66. So there's a lot that can still happen, and a lot of characters that we could possibly see. But I do think that we'll see. I think we'll see. Obviously, the flashbacks, I got a strange feeling, is going to be kind of a common thing for a little bit. And obviously, this series will probably have a few of those to keep things going. But I just don't know how much we're going to see actually Anakin as Darth Vader. I know we will see it, but the real question is then it will be James Earl Jones. Will we actually hear that voice? Will it be computer done? Like, that's those little things that my thoughts anyways. So I don't know, but let's check a few more of these comments here. And I'm sorry if your name doesn't pop up on some of these comments. There'll be more flashbacks of Anakin before Vader, and then we'll see the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan. We have also it'll be similar to how they did to the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, and there's our sponsor, TRG Toys and Collectibles, saying hello there, TRG Toys and Collectibles. and then we could possibly see Yoda again. That is, I mean, yeah, we know Yoda's there, so I really think that is a very good possibility.
Mhm.
I mean, this could be here, Justin Lee, and I'm sure he's going to comment sooner or later. No, we will not see Dash Rendar.
Oh, he already did.
Um,
It's in,
oh, did he? Oh, yep,
yeah,
I see it
it's
now. So, so yeah, definitely a lot of opportunities for flashbacks and things like that. So we're going to have that that showdown, and what really interests me with this story is how many. I mean, are we going to really get this epic fight? And supposedly the rumor is that we're going to see them fight a couple times. Um, Now, do we think this is where Vader shows his strength and absolutely kind of just demolishes Obi-Wan? Not kills him, but thinks that he might be dead, left for dead. I mean, what? I mean, how? I mean, we can tell he's still a hermit when we pick back up in A New Hope. So, I mean, which direction does this go with Vader versus Obi-Wan?
Yeah, this when Kathleen Kennedy sort of announced that, almost like an offhanded comment at the, I think Disney Investor Day back in 2020, when they kind of announced this and they kind of made the comment, and we'll see, Obi-Wan and Anakin face off again. I'm like, wait, that doesn't sort of jive with sort of my internal thought process of, I always thought when they met on the Death Star that that was the first time they'd seen each other since, the duel on Mustafar. So I think they have to be really careful not to, you know, go too far with this. I mean, obviously, I think from a fan perspective, we would love to see them fight again, but I hope they just don't, do it too much and kind of diminish almost from what happens in A New Hope. Is kind of like they hadn't seen each other for a long time. If it turns out, oh, we just saw each other like, a couple years ago, it's not quite this, reunion as it was sort of built up in the original series, I
Yeah.
think.
It doesn't feel like a lot of Obi-Wan talking with Qui-Gon and seeing flashbacks and things like that. Um, I think everybody is on the same page with the flashbacks. I got a strange feeling again we're gonna the Book of Boba Fett kind of ingrain flashbacks into our brains. So that is definitely an interesting thing. But what's also interesting about this is some of the concept art. Obviously, we just saw the Obi-Wan versus Vader right there. But the next piece, of art is what I like, and we've already been kind of confirmed that there are going to be Inquisitors in this series, which is awesome. I really love the fact that we're going to start seeing the Inquisitors in live action. Um, so, what, who will we see, and then where does this time up with Star Wars Rebels? Because we know some of the Inquisitors, don't make it. That a lot of so these are going to be, are these some of the other Inquisitors? Who are we going to see here? But this is where I think we go off world a little bit. Is Obi-Wan going to kind of run from these Inquisitors? Is he going to go after them? There's a rumor out there that Princess Leia gets kidnapped, the young Leia, and he has to go save. I mean, there's so many rumors out there right now, but I mean, where do you think that? How much of this Inquisitor involvement do you think we're going to see in this series?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think showing the Inquisitor in the concept art was, a surprise. I was not expecting Inquisitors to kind of make their appearance here, knowing that it was an Obi-Wan focused series. I mean, they definitely have some other material. The drawing a blank on the name of the video game right now. But I know the Inquisitors were a big part of that video game that was really popular. So is there going to be some Easter eggs sprinkled in there? I don't know if it's going to be a situation where the Inquisitors are actively hunting down Obi-Wan on Tatooine, or they're just, causing trouble elsewhere in the galaxy, and that causes Obi-Wan to briefly leave and go chase them down. Yeah, I could see that kind of going either way. I'd almost expect them to
Yeah.
not come to Tatooine looking for Obi-Wan, because if they were to have found him there, I don't think he would eventually then go back and hide out there, because I kind of,
Yeah.
the jig is up on that one. So um, it'll be interesting to see like what sort of forces him to potentially get more engaged and not really just stay there and watch Luke like he was planning to after episode 3.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head there too, with talking about um, if they found out that he was there, you know, would he go back there and hide? Which so obviously he either hid really well, or he killed everybody that knew he was there. So I mean, those are kind of the two options that you really have. Or did he kind of go get found again and left Tatooine? Fought
Hmm.
Vader. Vader thought he won, and then he kind of went back to the hermit world of Tatooine. So
Hmm.
there's just so many scenarios, and that's what I love about this is is you get a lot of people that get kind of worked up for it, and with me it's just about the imagination and seeing what's right, and that's what I love about
Hmm.
Star Wars. It doesn't have to be um um canon or not. Your mind can make it whatever, and it's always fun to see what you're wrong with and what you got right, and or how bad you got something wrong. So we'll see
Yeah.
that
Have
quite a bit.
they?
Looks like we got.
And have they, 'cause I haven't kept up with it too closely, I guess. Do we have any type of episode count from this? I know Book of Boba Fett was what,
6.
6. I
Yeah.
know Mandalorian season 1s and 2 were more than that. I don't know if this is going to be another sort of 6 or 7 episode series, but that's always sort of the danger or thing I get somewhat cautious about is, you know, we've got Anakin, we've got Inquisitors, we've got the Luke thing, we've got
Yeah.
other and we typically have a runtime of 40 minutes, give or take, an
Yeah.
episode. And sometimes it can, if they try to overdo it too much, you end up with kind of disconnected stuff. Doesn't really flow together too well, and it's not as well done as it could be. So I'm always less is more. Sometimes I'll say
Yeah.
when it comes to the different storylines and kind of things they try to throw into the series.
And then Justin Lee made a comment here that I see them having Vader win, and that's what broke Kenobi's confidence. I do believe we'll see kind of a deep fake Tarkin and Krennic again, which is very possible on there. So, Justin also thinks I don't think Leia will play a big role. Um, and I kind of agree. Like, I mean, it's the way they set everything up. I don't know if, but also too, we got to remember they're also not that old during this time frame as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays in because there's got to be some kind of reference to Leia during this. Like you would imagine that Obi-Wan wouldn't have forgot that there was another kid, and maybe he was going to go check on that
Yeah, I guess
but
that's one question too. Because I know somebody did ask as far as the timeline and where the series falls. I guess I've always been kind of making the assumption this is going to pick up pretty close to you know a few years after episode 3 and
yeah,
would maybe be like, sort of self-contained. Do you think there's a possibility that we get a situation where, the episode is almost kind of like little mini flashes of the stories and different things that happen, but the actual series takes place over, multiple years? Like maybe the series starts 3 years after and Luke is, 3. Some couple of things happen. We do like a time jump, and it's like, okay, 5 years later, now Luke's more old, and this is what's happening out there in the galaxy.
it could. I could see them kind of trying to do something like that. But it hasn't. I mean, it hasn't been their blueprints yet.
Hmm.
But you never know. It could something that Lucasfilm will throw out there and say, "Hey, let's kind of forward the pace a little bit, do some flashbacks, and he's going to be there." I mean, or it could even start right after he got defeated by Vader, and then he's flashing back to the times back on Tatooine. So, I mean, we could have that as well. But what I think is really interesting, and what I kind of want to know, so we all know from A New Hope, um, that Uncle Owen just is not a big fan of Obi-Wan. I mean, we kind of got that feeling, he told him he's dead. He told Luke that he's dead and everything. And so, what started, we something has started that rivalry. So like, did he get tired of Obi-Wan being there all the time looking over, maybe saying, hey, you shouldn't do this, you're going to draw attention. You shouldn't be talking about this with him. We don't want him to know that his father's, Darth Vader. Um, I mean, what do you think? I mean, there's obviously these two are going to play a big role in the series. So I mean, what do you think? I mean, think we're going to find out what that rivalry will be?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think if there's any type of interaction, it all it'll start to lead down the path of why Uncle Owen doesn't want Luke really associated with Obi-Wan. And I guess, at the end of the day, it's not too hard of a to connect the dots knowing what happened with Anakin. Now, the interesting thing I never really considered or thought about, but as you were talking, it made me think of it is do we I guess as far as we know, I guess do we just truly assume that Uncle Owen thinks Anakin is dead, or does Uncle Owen have any idea that Anakin Skywalker becomes like the right-hand man of the Emperor and is Darth Vader? I would have
Right.
to assume that he just thinks he's dead.
You
I mean,
you would think so, and I'm sorry if I started laughing, but I had to leave this comment up because it made me laugh pretty hard, or maybe Owen was just mad for Obi-Wan for dropping the kid off
that's
into the
possible.
line.
He's like, yeah, I was having this nice, nice young married couple life, and then you drop this kid off, and
So, so yeah, that comment, and like I said, I wish I could see who the user was that did that, but it's still a great comment. I love it. But yeah, so who knows what we'll see? And again, everything's speculation, but this is why we love Star Wars, is because you can think, and who knows, you might be right, and again, like I said, you might be wrong, but either way, um, we're probably gonna love it because I mean, most people know like my opinion. It's like, do we really need another Obi-Wan story? But I'm also excited for it. I'm not going to lie.
mhm.
It's more Star Wars. We've had more Star Wars in the past few years than we've had in our whole entire lifetime. So I can't complain. I can say I can die a happy Star Wars fan, getting all the Star Wars content that we're getting as well. So the one thing I want to go back into and talk a little bit. So Justin Lee brought up a point about Qui-Gon becoming a Force ghost. And I actually got in this debate with somebody today. Um, Oh, Alex, there we go. We know who it is now. It's um so we know it's you now, Alex. So welcome, Alex. We're glad you're here. But we're going to talk a little bit about Qui-Gon. So we all know, if you've watched the Clone Wars, we all know that Qui-Gon makes an appearance in the Clone Wars. So the one thing that we talk about, so I see a lot of people saying, oh, Qui-Gon will become a Force ghost, Qui-Gon, this. So if you are familiar with the Clone Wars, Qui-Gon cannot become a Force ghost. He did not finish his training, which we learned when Yoda had to take his path to learn immortality. Now, Qui-Gon even says he didn't finish his training, so he can't manifest in a form, but he's like these little sparkly, twinkly stars, flying all over the place. Now, we did see a what people thought was a Force ghost in the Mortis arc, but that was also the son playing tricks on Obi-Wan while he's doing also the tricks with Anakin and Ahsoka as well. So if we stay to that canon with the Clone Wars, we're not going to see an Obi-Wan Force ghost. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think we're just going to see, and everyone out there as well, do you think we're just going to have like flashbacks with Qui-Gon? Because there are rumors that he's in there. Of course, again, it's all rumors. Or do you think we're just going to have some voiceovers, like kind of like him talking to him through the Force, like he did with Yoda during his training?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the voice calling out through the Force style is definitely a possibility. You know, visually seeing him, like you said, it'd be a pretty big retcon, I guess, to go back and all of a sudden give him the Force
Right.
Ghost shape. I guess maybe the most likely thing would be potentially if we do get the flashback sort of things, but I would have to imagine they're just going to use already seen or unused edited footage from Phantom Menace
Yeah.
to do it. You know,
Could.
they can't de-age and CGI everybody back to their younger days. They've already blown that budget on doing it a couple times now with Mark Hamill. I don't know if they're going to do it with Liam Neeson or not, but
Yeah.
I would say we'll probably get some sort of his voice calling out or talking to Obi-Wan, especially if he's a hermit in solitude doing all that kind of Force stuff. Because actually, if I remember right, I thought Yoda at the end of episode 3, I think kind of alluded to the comment that, there's somebody that wants to talk to you, Obi-Wan, you know, almost kind of setting it up at the end of that series, not knowing what was all going to come in the future after they filmed that there was a potential for Qui-Gon to still be out there as part of the Force for Obi-Wan to sort of
Right.
communicate with.
Well, I mean, we know that the voices are out there. I mean, we learned that, in the Rise of Skywalker when all the voices are talking to Rey.
Hmm.
So, I mean, obviously the voices have a way to communicate through the Force. So we're gonna probably see that, and that's what I find really interesting with the Qui-Gon situation, because it's literally like you said, are they going to recanon that? Which that was a pretty big arc in the Clone Wars, was Yoda's training. or will it just be flashbacks or voice? So I mean, that's one of the things that we'll see there. So and then the other thing, I just put up a comment that was on there, and it was like, who else do you think that we're going to see in this series? Well, obviously it's like the possibilities are endless of who could possibly show up on here. I know a couple that one that we would like to see, and kind of like a more of a redemption thing, is Cody. I mean, who would not want to see kind of Cody talking to Obi-Wan after he just tried to kill him, and I mean, it'd just be really cool to see that back again. But for all you out there, I mean, who do you all think we'll see in this? Because obviously we're going to get some cameos. We're going to get, I mean, we're right after Order 66, so we know kind of where we are with people. We know who's out there. So obviously we got Rex, we have Cody, we have Ahsoka. What? I mean, who do you think that we're going to else see in the series?
I mean, I think there's a good possibility we get some sort of, whether it's hollow projected message or true scene of Vader with them, but I'm expecting the Emperor to be there, to get some sort of cameo appearance from him. Maybe it's, giving out the order to the Inquisitors to send them off to go hunt down the rest of the Force users and things of that nature. It would be, I think, cool to see, a Cody or a Rex or somebody like that. But at the same time, too, we're now really starting to overlap with some of the same time period, some of the same stuff that's happening in the Bad Batch animated series. You kind of opened with that, we have season 2 of that coming, which also deals with right after Order 66 and how the clones are being phased out with the stormtroopers and things like that. So I expect there'll be a few little clone trooper sort of Easter eggs. I don't know if we'll get them as too much of a focus, just again, because a limited amount of time, limited amount of screen to fill. And you start peppering in too much fan service and too many cameos, it kind of can detract away from the overall story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, and then we got we also hear we could see Yoda as a force project himself to train Obi, which I'm sure we'll probably see something with Yoda. Justin Lee, Windu, we still don't have a confirmation that he's dead. I mean, that could still be a possible, and God help us, Baby Yoda could pop up in there at any time too, because now we know he was there. So
see, I thought you were going to say a different character that's still out there and has never been confirmed to be.
Oh no, that one I'm going to talk about next. My favorite one, but I mean, could this also be? Now, do you think this could be the episode or the series that they actually show how Baby Yoda was saved? I mean, yes, I know it's Grogu. Everybody, I'm going to call him Baby Yoda, but just deal with it. Because we know, I mean, we're at that right afterwards. I mean, could we have some flashbacks back to that temple or what's going on with that? Or would they save it for, Mando season 3? So it's that one could be out there.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could. Part of me thinks like the Mando universe is Boba Fett series, Mando, Ahsoka, anything else that kind of comes as part of that. But these prequel things like Andor and Obi-Wan, I'm sort of looking them as sort of isolated away from the other stories and connections that they're trying to show there. So I do think that Grogu, because they did hint at it already with a little bit of like Luke kind of unlocking the memories and giving us like a little teaser to what happened at the temple that day, that I think they would save that. But I also didn't expect the decision of Grogu to stay or leave Luke's training was going to be revealed in the Book of Boba Fett. I thought that would be like episode 1, season 3 of Mando. So again, I guess with all these different avenues to show the greater story and connections, they kind of have free reign to put it in wherever they think it fits best.
Yeah. Some of the other names that came up, Kira, Crimson Dawn, Thrawn. I mean, there's just so many out there. I mean, we're at a time where like everybody was in that big melting pot of characters that we just have. That's been amazing Star Wars stories for all of us, and that's what I'm excited about. Because we don't know who's going to pop up in here. I mean, we're going to get Inquisitors. We're going to get Vader, Palpatine. If like I see a lot of new like media outlets writing about, oh, surprise, he might be in there. Well, he probably will be in there. I mean, obviously, he's a big part of everything that is going on. we haven't blown up the Death Star yet at this time frame, so we know that he's around. He's just got his new deformed face and he's ready to take over, the galaxy. So it's, yes, more than likely Palpatine will be in there. That's not shouldn't be breaking news to anybody.
It makes
But,
makes more sense for Palpatine to be in this than it did for somehow Palpatine is returned in The Rise of Skywalker.
yeah. So I mean, it's just it's hard to tell. I mean, we've got so many possibilities, and we only got 6 episodes. So and that's what's interesting because with the Book of Boba Fett, we still don't know if we're going to get another season or if it's just part of the Mandalorian, the Mandoverse. We know that Obi-Wan is 6 and done. There's going to be no other seasons. I mean, according to everything, it's 6 and done. So, with Book of Boba Fett, we got to, episode 6, and we're like, oh my gosh, this has got to get, episode 5. Okay, this is getting better. 6. Oh my gosh, what's going on? There's no Boba Fett in the thing. And then we get finally the final one, and then we kind of get, that there where this has to be rolling from the minute. There's no time for fillers. I mean, am I right? I mean, that's the only thing I think of. This has to be intense from start to finish because we don't have the luxury of having a second season.
Yeah, I mean, it's either it's going to be, nonstop, start to finish, and touch on a lot of things, or they're going to be very, very selective and only telling like a very focused story, narrative, like one particular thread. And
Yeah.
like, it's the Inquisitor thing. And we're off, and there's not a whole lot of Luke stuff. There's not a lot of Leia stuff. There's not a lot of flashbacks. There's just the Inquisitor storyline. And that's what they're sticking to because they can't really do both. They can't do a bunch of storylines and keep it really drawn out and, a lot of narrative to it because it's, again, they don't have a lot of time. And like you talked about too, this time period, somebody mentioned, Han and Chewie and Kira, Mace Windu. There's so many characters because the time period we're in right now is pretty much everybody is still alive.
Yeah.
Boba
then,
Fett, all the bounty hunters, Han, Chewie, Luke,
yep.
Leia's adopted father, drawing a blank.
Bail
Organa. He's alive. Are we gonna get a Jimmy Smith's appearance? I mean, there's all these characters because it's picking up right after Clone Wars before everybody gets killed later on that they can really, you don't know who they're gonna pull in.
Yeah, it's like I said, I know I said this a million times tonight, but I can't wait now. I'm actually getting pretty excited for this series. I really think that we're gonna see some pretty cool stuff on here, and I really think it needs to be, like I said, just action packed because there's no time for those filler. The Book of Boba Fett. I have a feeling we'll see another season. I mean, I'm not gonna bet my allowance on it, but I just think that that's why we had that pace to kind of go from there. I would like to see episodes with the Inquisitors hunting the Jedi and then switch back to Obi-Wan, talk with Qui-Gon and training. And I think that's, we'll probably see a few other, maybe Obi-Wan will learn there's a few other Jedis, because as of right now, he doesn't know who's alive when he left. We don't know. I mean,
like I say, the training, we know that Obi-Wan somehow learns the Force Ghost trick before the encounter on the Death Star. He obviously didn't, I'm assuming not, Zoom calling with Yoda on Dagobah and doing like remote e-learning to figure that out. So that's where I think the Qui-Gon angle is a perfect one. It kind of logically fits in with that. And like you said too, if there's other Force sensitive people out there, like a Cal Kestis that we know from the video game series or others,
definitely just mention that.
What's his name from Rebels? Drawing a blank on that character's name. Yeah, Kanan. There's other people out there, and that's where the Inquisitors, that's why they exist. So, yeah, there's definitely so many angles.
Yeah, so it does have all those angles on there, and who knows what we'll see on this, but let's see what we got here. I think Obi-Wan goes off-world to help a Jedi with an Inquisitor. That's how Vader finds Obi-Wan. That could very well be. Maybe, Yoda's in trouble. Maybe Yoda's involved somehow with this. So that's definitely a good point as well. The big rumor I've been hearing that I think is very interesting though is the rumor of Leia getting kidnapped. Vader kidnaps Leia, as a or an inquisitor or somebody kidnaps, because obviously they don't know she's force sensitive yet, and they don't know that she's actually her, that Leia's his kid. So I think that's kind of an interesting approach of things. But I mean, do you think that rumor sticks? I mean, do you think we'll see kind of that kind
I
of
I don't I don't know how you have that happen and then explain away that in Return of the Jedi you have the big moment, oh, your thoughts betray you. You have a sister too. Obi-Wan was wise
yeah,
to hide her. How does anybody have any connection to Leia Organa and kidnap her bait from the Empire, and
right,
you don't for the next like 50, it would be like next like 18, 19 years, however long it is until Return of the Jedi, had no it's again, that's the thing they have to be careful about, is all these rumors and things. It's like, look at them, put it under the lens of everything that we know is tried and true, chiseled in stone canon from the original movie series. And if you have to go through too many gyrations and hoops to try to explain how it's going to work, it's like, I mean, unless Filoni and Favreau and everybody involved in this is just, leaps and bounds, they're playing 4D chess here and can really figure out how to connect all these dots to make it work. So I just
yeah,
can't see how it logically would happen.
yeah. So it'll be interesting. And of course, I'm still hoping for, and I'm sorry for everybody who hates this, but the one character we haven't talked about tonight, Jar Jar, is still out there. Everybody, I just hope you all sleep well thinking about that tonight. Jar Jar is still out there. He could make an appearance. And matter of fact, I think he might even make an appearance on the show tonight. Look at that. There he is, everybody. Jar
Hey.
Jar. We need to see him in Obi-Wan. All right.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and and speaking, and talking about people making comebacks, it originally was a rumor. I think it's since been confirmed because some of the other media outlets picked it up. But this was a big enough deal that they got John Williams to kind of come out of retirement after he said he was done with Star Wars.
yeah,
And whether he's in there doing a lot, I don't think he's scoring the whole thing. He's probably helping out maybe with like the theme, because again, he was involved in the Obi-Wan theme from the original and in the prequel. So this is a big enough thing that Obi-Wan's back that they got old John Williams to dust off the conductor wand.
I had to put that up there.
There you go,
But
upsetting our sponsors. That's
I know, right? The good old
that's
Jar Jar.
media. It's media streaming 101.
But
Don't
you're right,
upset the
though. I mean, how
sponsors.
how big is that to get John Williams back? For a series like this is.
Hmm.
I mean, it's pretty epic. I mean, John Williams is Star Wars music. John Williams
Hmm.
is most movies music.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty big comeback for this. So that's why I'm thinking the series might be pretty good if we're getting John Williams back into the
Hmm.
the grind of things. So
Yeah, for sure.
um so with that, great talking on Obi-Wan. Obviously, we have no clue what's going on. That's the that's the
Well,
that's the
that's
best part
I mean,
about it. It's all
that's not just in Star Wars. It's just in general.
pretty
I have
much
just no
everything.
I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. It's 2022, right? Who knows?
And that's why I had someone ask us about the show tonight, and I was like, "Look, it's nothing special. We're not fancy. We're just two guys that love Star Wars." So,
Yeah.
and that's what is the best thing about it is it can be what you want it to be. Imagine it, have fun with it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, good job. I can't tell you how many things I got wrong in the Book of Boba Fett, but I mean, I think
Mhm.
most of us got a lot wrong in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But TRG also agree without John, it wouldn't be the same without him. With that time frame as well. So welcome, Tom. Better late than never. Good to see you watching. Um, so with that, we're going to talk about some fun stuff. Obviously, convention season is in full swing, and um, we got all kinds of fun conventions coming up. Anywhere between ICCC, Star Wars Celebration, Indiana Comic Con, Lexington, Cincinnati's coming up. There's a lot of great conventions going on there, and I'm pretty excited. Ready to head down to Nashville. I know a few of you guys will be heading down there as well, but very excited to see ICCC. I mean, this guest lineup is pretty amazing that
Mhm.
they have coming here from Anthony Daniels. Palpatine himself's going to be there. Timothy Zahn. We've got so many great, uh, uh, just great actors there. Oh wait, and there's more. Um, it's just like Michael Havens. Shout out to you with this convention. I went last year, I loved it. And it looks like you're going to have another great convention as well. So, I mean, what do you think about this lineup for ICCC?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'd almost kind of forgotten who was all going to be there, and I know they've unveiled some more people here recently, but I knew about Anthony Daniels, and I remember Palpatine, Ian McDermott being there. But I started putting together, going through the rosters or the lineup, and I was like, oh man, Timothy's on. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, Matt Lanter. I forget. It's a good lineup. I mean, you got original series features. You've got some of the smaller actors that had smaller roles, but were fan favorites. You got Obi-Wan and Anakin, both the voices from the Clone Wars series, which is great to see. So, yeah, I mean, for a Star Wars fan, this is going to be a great lineup. And for me personally, the lineup's great, but just again, kind of being back out there amongst the fans is going to be awesome. We went to C2E2 in Chicago. That was a lot of fun. And again, that's more of a general, like all sort of fandom sort of convention. This one's going to have some other things besides just Star Wars, but there's going to be a really big, I think, Star Wars contingent. So it'll be kind of great to be just sort of surrounded by the fandom.
And then obviously we've got coming up as well for us in the Midwest here. One of the another big ones is our Indiana comic convention. They are slowly, adding guests, so we'll probably have some more Star Wars guests. But Daniel Logan will be coming back, and then the Baby Yoda chaser himself will be here, which I'm excited about. It's definitely a good time for conventions to be back. We're getting kind of back to normal with things. Excited about this one as well. I know also in March, I'll be heading down to the Columbus Toy Show. Daniel Logan will be there as well. So I hope to see some of you guys there in Columbus. And it's just a good time for conventions. And obviously celebrations coming up as well. So I'm very excited. I can't wait till they start announcing guests for Celebration on there. So it definitely will be a good time. But what convention, I mean, Travis, are you looking forward to this year? And also everybody who's watching, what convention is the number one that you need to go to this year?
Yeah, I mean, I guess since as of right now, I will not be making the journey west to Celebrations. Otherwise, that would probably be my go-to to say the most excited about. 'Cause, I've never been to one, but I'd say as far as the ones currently, I mean, I think it's probably going to be the ICC con, just because as I was going through the list of people they're going to be there, just like, oh wow, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a lot of really good people, and I think it'll be a great show.
Yeah. ICC I'm looking forward to. Obviously C2E2 every year, look forward to.
Yeah.
We got TRG here, Star Wars Celebration, San Diego Comic-Con. Luckily, we're going to both. I will not be going to San Diego this year. Still undecided on New York. I probably will go one more time just to check out that one again. And maybe, it was actually pretty decent last year, especially with the kind of the restrictions they had and, less crowding and everything. But I am very excited about Celebration and, what we're going to get. Again, we haven't had any guest announcements yet, but hopefully those will start coming soon to see who will be, added there as well. But yeah, ICCC it's coming up here pretty soon. I cannot wait to, like I said, head down to Nashville. There's going to be some great artists there. There's going to be some great, vendors there as well. And then obviously the actors is just unreal. And rumor is there's going to be one more actor named. So I can't wait to see who Michael, excuse me, Michael has in his pocket. But other than that, though, yeah, the convention scene this year is looking good, and very excited to get things rolling again and heading to cons.
Fingers crossed that things keep tracking the right way. We don't have a 2021 sort of sequel to where everything looked like it was good. Next thing you know, stuff started getting canceled left and right. But so far things are looking pretty good. So definitely excited.
And obviously for those here locally in the South Bend, Mishawaka area, now there isn't any Star Wars actors going to be there, but the Elkhart Comic Con's this weekend. So there will be some good vendors there and some vintage toys and stuff like that. So you'll want to check out. So make sure you check out the Elkhart Comic Con this weekend as well. But yeah, there's a lot of great ones. Cincinnati always has some good Star Wars guests. It seems they've always pulling some big ones. So
Yeah, and I guess, but I must say too, people that members of the pages, stay on the lookout as we post different ones we're going to be at. Try to, that people are venturing out a little bit more. Maybe do a couple, small meetups for drinks or something after a couple of these conventions that we'll be going to. It'd be great to finally meet some of you people in person.
Yeah, for those for celebration, I'll be heading out to actually New Mexico first to go hang out at TRG Toys and Collectibles. Maybe get my sticky fingers on some of their merchandise and mess up the store a little bit. But I'm excited to go out there, check out the store, and this is going to be a good time. Just traveling all over and seeing some of the conventions back in full swing. So with that, other than that, that's really all we have tonight. I really thank you all for hanging out with us. Had a great time talking to Obi-Wan. Again, we're going to be going every 2 weeks until the Obi-Wan series starts back up, and then we'll be back on our weekly broadcast as well. So with that, again, I always like to mention a couple of the events that are going on. We are still looking for donations for our silent auction. We had some great items donated last year. We also have a great start this year with items as well. Some great autographs have been donated and stuff, and hopefully I'll be getting a few more at some of these conventions as well for our silent auction for Mission 22. Also, Christmas in July, we're collecting toys for Ronald McDonald's house. Hopefully I'm going to have an event planned here soon for that as well. Kind of stuff my truck full of toys that we can take and deliver to them as well. So very excited with some of the stuff that we do. Also, great news if you guys are glass collectors, remember our charity drive last year. We will have another charity glass this year. I still cannot tell you who it is yet, but I think you guys will all like it. But we will have a charity glass again this year. We're working out some logistics now on that. And with that, that's really all we have this week. So again, thank you all. Thank you, TRG Toys and Collectibles. Again, you can follow Travis and I at the #show.com. You can follow me at Star Wars Nerd right there, 574. And Travis, where are you at?
I am at the Indiana Sloan on Twitter. You can find me there tweeting about whatever strikes me that day. Some Star Wars stuff.
All of our work at the #show as well. Also, make sure if you haven't added the Midwest Star Wars Fanatics group to Facebook. And until then, may the Force be with you.